All right, here I am going live about bare knuckle boxing. Guys, there's two companies. There's bare knuckle boxing and there's bare knuckle fighting championship. Two distinct companies in this awesome sport that has ripped my heart away from professional wrestling and stolen it onto themselves. And man, I am a willing participant in that theft. You know, I left the doors wide open because I've always just wanted more manliness, more ruggedness, more realism, right? In professional wrestling. You guys know me. Wrestling done right, that's always what I wanted. Manliness, ruggedness, realism. Make me believe, you son of a bitches. And a few people did here or there, you know? The Steiner boy, the Walter, Gunther, if you will. There was a few people who made me believe and made me love parts of professional wrestling. Then when I discovered this stuff, my God, this is exactly what I want, what I need in my life. And I think a lot of you need it too. I do. A lot of you who follow me are sick of wrestling. And you don't even realize it. You're holding on to it out of nostalgia. You're holding on to it out of habit. You're holding on to it because it's an addiction, like it was for me. And this bare knuckle boxing snapped that addiction, crushed it into pieces, and flushed it into the sea. Now, let's take a look at Brawl at the Beach. This is going back a few months ago. Bare knuckle boxing 39. Okay, they're in the 40s now. I'm just going back in my free time and watching shows I didn't see. I'm not going to wax on about this for a long period of time, so you don't have to worry about that. We had Jerome Hatch knocking out DeWitt Dixon in the first match. This Jerome Hatch is a beast. He punched this guy so hard in the face, his mouthpiece flew across the trigon. The trigon is the triangular ring that they fight in bare knuckle boxing. They fight in a circular ring in bare knuckle fighting championship. I think they're both great. I love both companies. I'm never, unless something happens that I can't foresee happening, I'm never going to discriminate against one company or the other. I have one that I lean towards a little bit more, but not enough to make any kind of deal out of it. But this was a great first fight. And if you watch something like this, it's quick, it's easy, it's over before you know it. You might get hooked like me. You might look at this stuff and think, damn, these guys are men. These guys are fighters. I don't got to watch somebody super kick somebody 18 times and they still kick out and win the match. Here, we're talking about real men fighting for real championships in meaningful moments, baby. Next matchup in the mighty Trigon bare knuckle boxing was Ricky Lucado taking on Rasheem Steele. In round 2, TKO, and Steele breaks his hand on the big, bald head of Ricky Lucado, and that's Ricky Lucado's words. I mean, shit happens in this, right? It's real. You're not going to stand on a turnbuckle and rain down 10 punches, then the guy just walks out a little bit dizzy. No. This shit is as legit as it gets. And these guys were fighting, beating the hell out of each other. It was fun. It was exciting. It got to round 2. And unfortunately, Steele busted his hand, broke bones on the head of Ricky Lucado. Didn't knock him out, though. Didn't knock him down. So he couldn't continue. Lucado gets the win by technical knockout. Pretty cool. Pretty exciting stuff. The third fight. Another fight that was very fun to watch on bare knuckle boxing number 39. The Tasmanian Devil, Marlon Moncada, took on Isaiah Williams, and the Tasmanian Devil knocked Moncada is the Tasmanian Devil, knocked Williams down 5 times. 5 times in the fight. And finally at round 3, when he's knocked down the 5th time, the ref's like, nah, we're stopping this. You know, you got to give this kid credit. You got to give this Williams kid credit for sticking with it and not wanting to give up. But the Tasmanian Devil, you know, not Taz, Tasmanian Devil, and I think that's what Taz in wrestling was originally called. Marlon Moncada knocked the hell out of him. And now Williams fought hard and wanted to continue, but the ref's like, dude, you've been knocked down 5 times in 3 rounds. We're calling it. Winner, the Tasmanian Devil. And we had Maurice Morris taking on Dan Vinny. And this didn't last long. Shortly into round 1, Vinny pretty much says, I can't continue. He was pounded into submission. He tapped out. He wasn't laying on the mat tapping out like a UFC bitch. He was just in his corner, could not continue, could not keep it going. He had several huge shots to his face. I mean, just bam, bam. You get punched in your face with bare knuckles, it's serious shit. I can't watch wrestling anymore, guys. I'm not here to shit on it. I can't watch this anymore. I can't watch the fakery. When you see how real punches affect grown men, you can't go back to watching fake shit again. And I'm just calling it how it is. We all know it's, choreographed, cooperative, whatever word you want to use other than fake. But again, I'm not here to disrespect wrestling, but I watch a clip of it here or there, and I'm like, dear God. I saw Braun Breaker the other day giving fists to somebody, and he was this 8 inches away from the guy's face. It might have looked good behind the camera, but on the camera side, it was hideous looking. And I'm not insulting the man, but you can't watch this stuff again when you're watching someone like Maurice Morris take shots to the face of Dan Vinny, to the point that Dan Vinny says, "F this, I can't continue." In round 1, Maurice Morris is your winner here. Next matchup were some ladies. Nelsie Castillo, bear with me, some of these names are foreign. I got to get my tongue used to them. Like, how I had to get used to some Japanese names when I first started covering Noah and New Japan and companies like that. Took on Andy Wynn in a very fun 5-rounder. So you don't want to get used to the quick knockouts. If you get used to the quick knockouts in this stuff, you're going to tend to lean towards some of the uneducated fans that watch a nice 5-round fight and get bored and start booing, which to their credit, they didn't boo these women, thankfully, because this was a good, scientific, the sweet science, if you will, fight between two great women. Nelsie, I want to say Nestle, it's Earnestly, honestly, her name, Nelsie Castillo, took out the older Andy Wynn in a very good 5-round fight between two women. They didn't want to bust their faces in half. Who can blame them? They were playing defensive. They were coming in. They were fighting. They were taking shots at each other. They had the bruises and the black eyes to prove it, baby. But this was just a fun 5-round match that went to the judges, and winning unanimously was Castillo. Very solid matchup. Then we have Esteban Partida. I think that's how you say it, knocked out Joshua Oxendine at the end of round 2. And even though it was only a 2-round fight, it was very interesting and fun to watch. Now, the one complaint is Oxendine complained of eye pokes all fight long. He kept saying, look, Partida is poking me in the eyes, hit me in the eyes, poking me in the eye, because sometimes guys fight defensively, but you got to close those fists when you go in, right? You can't slap, you can't crack them with open palms. Nobody's Jushin Thunder Liger here with the palm strikes. You got to close your fingers, and the referee will warn them, close those fists, turn them into fists. This isn't slap fight, right? But they never called it on him. The judges didn't hold him against it. Did it? I guess they'll look at some tapes, and if they do find out that some of these complaints, because at the end of the fight, whenever Oxendine went down, he claimed he was headbutt, and it looked like on the film that it was a headbutt. Purposeful or not, they came in, you get close together. A shorter guy's got to come down and up to take on a taller guy. And I think where their weight or their height was 5'10" and 5'8". So 2 inches, that ain't that big of a deal. But they still came in, and one came up on the other and caused a headbutt, and that's really when Oxendine went out. His team's probably going to complain to management. They'll take a look at the tapes, and if they find out down the road, and this was in the past, so they already found out if it happened, they'll make it a no contest. But as it stood right now, it was an interesting fight. I enjoyed it, but I can't say it was fun because of all the complaints from Oxendine about being poked in the eye. Sometimes he was, sometimes he wasn't. You get 5 minutes if you're kicked in the groin, or not kicked, but punched in the groin, because you can't kick in this shit, of course, or accidentally, of course, or if you're poked in the eye accidentally, you can have up to 5 minutes, and I think he got that once or twice, but he kept saying, I'm poked, and he ended up getting poked down to the ground for the count out, and the victory went to Esteban Partida. And up next was the main event already. I told you I'd run through this quickly, guys. It was Cub the Savage Hawkins taking on Jack Marshman. And this was a slower pace, more scientific fight like the women. Okay? I'd say these guys got each other's faces and body shots a little more than the women did. But this was a boxing match for the Cruiserweight Championship. The crowd didn't boo. Again, I appreciate this crowd's intelligence. Nothing annoys me more than watching this stuff whenever it is in a quick knockout or a brutal brawl that the fans start booing. Look, sometimes these guys are going to box, and boxing is what they did. Bare-knuckled, and that always makes boxing even better, in my opinion. I mean, because you get hit with a glove, all the respect in the world. I don't want to be hit by a bare fist or a glove, but it's all the respect. But this stuff is just tougher. It's badder. It's better in every way. And so this fight was interesting to me. And the champion, Cub the Savage Hawkins, retains his cruiserweight title by unanimous decision over Jack Marshman in a very tight fight. I enjoyed this show very much. This was probably my favorite bare knuckle boxing show so far. Again, two companies, Bare Knuckle Boxing and Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. This bare knuckle boxing is in the triangle ring, you know, really good. I enjoyed the show very much. I'm giving it a 10 out of 10. I thought it was solid, and I was on the edge of my seat for every single fight. Literally, I'm leaning in. Oh, man, I'm reacting. And it's so easy to react. How often, guys, my wrestling buddies out there, how often you watch a show and it might be good for wrestling standards, right? Not often, but it might be. But you still find yourself sort of not reacting in any major way because you know in your heart of hearts, it ain't really real, right? For a wrestling show to get us sort of jaded wrestling fans into it, it's got to be like not just good. It's got to be like a 15 out of 10, right? It's got to be one of those amazing shows to get us really like, oh, yeah, you know, you can guess what's happening too often in wrestling, you know, and even if your guesses are in your favor, like you're guessing how matches are going to end and you're happy about these endings, even if that's the case, you still guessed them, you still knew. There's too much of that in wrestling. Ain't none of that shit in bare knuckle boxing. Once in a while, somebody gets a tomato can because they're just coming up, or they want to get somebody a win as they build themselves up or whatever. But for the most part, you ain't guessing any of these fights. You don't know what's going to happen. There ain't no booker making the decision. These men are going out there and legitimately fighting the old-fashioned street-style bare-knuckled awesomeness. And I'm telling you, if you give this a shot, if you give this a chance, go to the YouTube, Bare Knuckle Boxing, BKB, Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship, BKFC, and just check out some clips. Check out any matches they might have posted, fights. I keep saying matches because I was a wrestling guy for most of my life. Check out the fights. I ain't going to steer you wrong. I promise. And me and Chuck Rancher was talking about starting our own podcast, our own YouTube video show about bare knuckle fighting called Bare Knuckle Banter. Just in the talks right now, seeing if we can work it out. But if we do, I hope you'll join us. I hope you'll subscribe. Go to my YouTube channel, Dropping Gloves. It's called Dropping Gloves, and give it a subscription if you will. I ain't going to hurt you to subscribe even if you aren't into this. I mean, just do me a favor. Help me get my subscriptions up. I love this stuff as much as I ever loved wrestling, and honestly, at this point, I love it more than I have loved wrestling in 20, 30 years. I'm not saying I hated wrestling, but wrestling was, I don't know, it was a heartbreaker for me for so many years because I wanted to be what it was, and it wasn't, and it's never going to be again. This is awesome, manly, badass shit. And if you aren't watching it, you're missing out big time. Big time.